the events today. I'm going to give everyone just one more moment to join. Thanks for your patience. Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining the 7:30 p.m. media call by CDOT. Today is Sunday, June 27th. We did have debris flow or mud flow in the canyon this afternoon. So I'm going to jump right to our Deputy Superintendent, Kane Schneider. He's got a good overview of what took place today, what our response has been, and what happens next, the work that we're doing now. And we'll also be joined by Bob Group, our Geohazards Program Manager, to talk about the area where the slides have largely been coming down from. My name is Elise Thatcher, and I'm the Northwestern Colorado Communications Manager for CDOT. Again, thanks for joining us. And now I'm going to hand it over to Kane Schneider to tell us about what's taken place today.
Hey, good evening, everyone. As Elise said, my name is Kane Schneider, Deputy Maintenance Superintendent for Region 3, Section 2. So I'll just jump right in. Around 4:25 today, we received a flash flood warning from the National Weather Service, and because of the nature of that warning, we had started moving to close down Interstate 70 between mile marker 116 and mile marker 133. While we were in the process of mobbing and moving towards that closure, around 4:45, we had a debris flow around the same mile marker as yesterday, mile marker 120, made its way down to the interstate and blocked both lanes of I-70 westbound and was slowly making its way across the median, and it was starting to impact eastbound I-70. At that point, we also decided to close down eastbound 109 to help with congestion at Glenwood Springs, mile marker 116. We also had two additional debris flows during this time right in the same area that did cross and impact both east and westbound I-70, which likely probably twice what we had yesterday. We decided to move our eastbound closure back to exit 87 at West Rifle and implement our long-term detours on Highway 13 north to Rifle. Highway 6 currently is open from eastbound to Glenwood Springs for local traffic only. At that point, we started to just assess the scene, the debris flow, and of course, safety is our first priority. We started to clear out the queues in Glenwood Canyon between mile marker 116 and 133. The rain subsided and our warning expired at 6:30. At that point, we started making efforts to kind of size up the debris field and start making efforts to clear it. Currently, we've got 12 tandem trucks working to clear the debris, 3 front end loaders and an excavator. So that's where we're at the moment. The canyon has stopped, the movement has quit, the rain has quit, and we're just trying to get things opened up east and westbound, which we've got our hands a little bit fuller tonight than we did last night. And with that, I'll hand it back to you, Elise.
Thank you, Kane. So just to reiterate so that everybody's got the same understanding of what the exact closure points are at this point, is eastbound and westbound are closed between Dot Zero at exit 133. And eastbound is still closed starting at the 87, right, Kane? That's West Rifle.
Yes, that's correct. It's also closed eastbound at the 116 too, but we are allowing local traffic to go from the 87 eastbound into Glenwood Springs.
Thanks, Kane. And so Kane cut out just a little bit there. So he was just saying we are allowing local traffic, eastbound traffic, from exit 87, which is West Rifle, towards exit 109. Local folks do need to know that it's still going to take them a little while to get to Glenwood Springs and beyond. Thank you for your patience. That's just making sure that we're clearing folks who are on the roadway, but still getting everyone to their destination as quickly as we safely can. Thanks, Kane. A lot going on today. We will have time at the end to take questions if there's any details that any of you need to double check. I'd like to pass it on to Bob Group at this time. Bob is our Geohazards Program Manager, so he can talk a little bit about the area where the majority of the slide activity is coming down from. Go ahead, Bob.
Thanks, Elise. So just kind of a quick overview. We have been anticipating this sort of thing since we had the fire last year. We went through and did an assessment of the likely impacts of rainfall events throughout the canyon, and you know, what we're seeing here is really that all of this is very rain driven. You know, for example, the two drainages that flowed yesterday and today.
Bob, I'm not hearing you. I'm wondering if your connection cut out for just a moment there.
Oh, sorry about that. I think I muted myself. Sorry. So where did you lose me?
Let's see. I think if you start back at where this is mostly prompted by rain, I think that's a good re-entry point.
Gotcha. So yeah, just the fact that we had two drainages flow that were right next to each other on two different days shows, you know, how local the effects can be depending on where we see the rain come down. So it's, you know, it's not necessarily you know, differences in geologic conditions that are driving it. It's very specifically where the rain is coming through. So that's something to keep in mind for you know, for future events. Those are going to be tracking you know, very closely to wherever those high intensity rain cells are coming through.
Thanks, Bob. Very helpful information there. So to make sure everybody has this other basic piece of information, we are routing folks along the northern alternate route at this time during the closure. If you're going westbound, that is from Highway 9 at where I-70 meets Silverthorne. You want to go north on Highway 9. At US 40, take a left or turn west, continue until Highway 13. There's the detour map. And continue south on 13, that's at Craig, down to Rifle where it rejoins I-70. So this map, you'll see the arrows head eastbound. It is, of course, one that travelers can take westbound, which is the connections that I just described. Okay, is there any additional information at this time, Kane, that we can share about the work taking place tonight and what we've got coming up next?
Yeah, I think, you know, we can just pass on that our crews are in there currently. We are still experiencing a little bit of flow from the upslope coming down on the westbound I-70, but it is slowed down and is starting to subside. So just, you know, again, like yesterday, we've just got to get in there and continue to work that debris field until we can make some headway with it and, you know, we can start to get the road open. The other thing I'd point out to Elise, and I'm sure you're going to touch on it, is, you know, this area is forecasted rain for the entire week. So we're likely going to, you know, we may have some additional impacts moving into the week just based on this burn scar and the predicted forecast.
Thanks, Kane. Okay, we're ready for questions. I'm keeping an eye on any hands that might be up. Oh, I see one from Amy. Go ahead, Amy.
Of course. Thank you. Thank you all for doing this. I guess I need a little bit of clarification on the road closures. Obviously through the canyon. Is that both directions from West Rifle to Dot Cerro? I-70 is shut both directions.
So at this time, yes,
Correct.
both. The closure for both directions, the hard closure, if you will, is between Dot Cerro, that's 133, and 116, which is the main Glenwood Springs exit. Now for local traffic, I'll go back. At West Rifle, that's exit 87, we are detouring the majority of traffic, eastbound traffic, to go north on that alternate route. That's Highway 13, that's right there. Local traffic can continue east past the 87.
On I-70?
On
On
I-70,
I-70.
yep.
Okay.
Towards
Hey, at least
9.
that's actually on Highway 6 is what we've got the locals detoured on. I'm sorry for that.
Thank you. Sorry about that, Amy. So on US 6 from exit 87, West Rifle, locals are directed to US 6. They continue east. And then towards,
Okay.
and then back onto I-70 towards Glenwood Springs.
Through South Canyon.
Yes.
Okay. Now, so that's eastbound. Westbound, they have to go north at Silverthorne. There isn't really any local anything for westbound, right?
So westbound traffic has that hard closure at 133 Dot Cerro. We do recommend that folks who are going westbound and need to detour that they take Highway 9. Now 131 is
Right.
Highway 131 is closer. That's at Wolcott from I-70 going north. That is not our recommended northern route because it is a more mountainous highway. It's a little more technical. So for the majority of folks, we would recommend taking Highway 9.
Okay.
Thanks, Amy.
Okay. Thank you.
Spencer, go ahead.
Hi there. I was just going to ask, since we're expecting more rains coming through over and over throughout the rest of the next week, do we have any long-term expectations for this, or is it just kind of wait out all of the debris coming down and hope that eventually it stops?
Yeah, that's a good question. I'm going to hand it over to Kane. Generally speaking, we prefer to keep the canyon open whenever it's safe to do so. We will be continuing to assess, of course, as we have weather. So Kane, I'll hand it over to you.
Yeah, no worries. That's a great question. So our plan has just been this since the burn scar last summer, and that is, we're working hand in hand with the National Weather Service, and we're monitoring the cells and the weather. And anytime we go to the stages of a warning or an alert to a warning, those are the mechanisms that we have in place to start shutting things down. So, I mean, as you guys know, we can't just close the canyon down for the rest of the summer. So we've kind of got to juggle Mother Nature and the burn scar and traffic. And for us, it's just a lot of open and closing and open and closing for the most part up until yesterday and today. Those closures have just been, what we would call a safety closure. We shut it down because we get an advisory from the National Weather Center, but we haven't had any debris flows. So, I mean, the last 2 days that has changed on that burn scar. So we'll continue to work with the National Weather Service, continue to monitor things. And I think the expectation is especially during a week or, when we have monsoon weather, like we're looking at currently, we can have intermittent closures at any time during Glenwood Canyon on I-70.
Thank you. If you wouldn't mind, I just had one last bit of that question. Is there a potential for a point where it's been closed so often that we need to do something besides just watch the weather and open and close, open and close?
Yeah, I think that's probably a good discussion. That will have to come from our environmental folks, our bear team that monitors the burn scar. So yeah, I think it's probably safe to say that if this continues, our experts, including Bob that's on the call with us, their input and expertise is certainly beneficial as to a recommendation of what we need to do.
Yeah,
Thank you.
And just to follow up on that a little bit more, it's when the whole process starts, the fire comes through and we have our burn intensity mapped. At that point, we can start modeling, but before we get any rain, all of that modeling we do is just our most informed assessment about what might potentially happen during different types of rain events. But until we get rain falling on the slopes in different areas, for different lengths and in different intensities, we don't really. There hasn't ever been an opportunity to test that model. One thing I can say is that in the past, in other burn areas, we've been able to work with the National Weather Service to more specifically tailor their flood watches and warnings to events that we've experienced following debris events that we've experienced following specific types and intensities of rain events. So what that has allowed us to do is close based on those warnings more accurately than later in the season than earlier in the season. So that's one thing that we can look forward to, and then. Yeah, it's a bigger group discussion internally in terms of what additional steps we might take in addition to the closures based on the flood watches and warnings.
Got it. Thank you.
Thanks, Bob. Looks like we have a question from Nita. Go ahead, Nita.
Yes, Elise, Arcane. I've had residents that have been sending me emails that said that closing only the 87 exit is really, really backing up traffic for the rifle area and having people try to get to different work. Is there any other way to do that besides just at the 87?
Nita, it sounds like this might be a good kind of coordination question. Maybe we can address that at the end with Kane.
Sure.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm not seeing any other raised hands, but I have a feeling there's got to be another question or two out there. Amy, it looks like you've got a question.
Yeah. Am I unmuted? I hope so. I'm just curious, a little bit of logistics. Are you, it looks like you're recording this, and I'm wondering if there's any way I could get a copy of the audio for radio use.
Yeah, we're hoping to be able to make this accessible via the media kit or link that I posted in the chat. So I'd say keep an eye on that this evening.
I don't have a chat for some reason.
It is on the bottom right-hand side. So it looks like there's a little conversation box. If you click on that, you'll see the chat box. And if you're having a hard time seeing it, Amy, I can just email that info to you. That's no problem. Okay. I'm not seeing any other hands up. Thanks for joining, everybody. We appreciate you taking the time. Nita, let's stay on for a hot moment here so we can help you out. And otherwise, that ends our briefing now. Thanks so much, everybody.
Thank you.